From the Daily Mail, Olympic Committee releases statement on Iman Khalif after biologically male boxer destroyed female rival Angela Carini in 46 seconds. I mean, you watch this video and this dude is just like, boom, right in her face. And it was so hard. She immediately just like, I'm done. I am not going to fight. And we actually have the video for you guys. So let's see if we can get this video up here. There were two stops. So you can see here in the bottom left, it says 2 minutes and 20 seconds. It's a 3-minute start. So this is about 40 seconds in. Watch what happens.
Solid straight right hand from Khalif there.
And that's it. Just like that, they call the match. I think I might have another tweet. There's her crying. There's running. I don't think I have the other. There's other clips of it, but that's basically it. So at 46 seconds in, she bows out. Now, the controversy here is that Iman Khalif, as well as another competitor whose I believe his name is Lin Yu-ting. Yeah, Lin Yu-ting, they both tested biologically male. XY chromosomes is what the statement from the World Boxing Association, or whatever the organization is called, like a World Boxing Championship, said XY chromosomes, and they had male testosterone levels. And so they were disqualified and had their medals stripped, I believe, from previous fights. They are still allowed to compete in the Olympics because the Olympics criteria is that your passport says F. That was it. And so they put out this statement, and this has led a lot of people to say, hold on, this may not be cut and dried. These may be intersex individuals. Well, I believe now what the narrative is that they're suffering from something called DSD. I believe the general idea is that they have an insensitivity at some degree to testosterone, resulting in the development of a female structure in the womb, despite them having internal testes, male chromosomes, and actually going through male puberty and legit just being male. And so the Olympics has released this statement. Joint Paris 2024 Boxing Unit IOC statement. Every person has the right to practice sport without discrimination. All athletes participating in the boxing tournament of the Olympic Games Paris 2024 comply with the competition's eligibility and entry regulations, as well as all applicable medical regulations set by Paris's 2024 Boxing Unit, PBU. As with previous Olympic boxing competitions, the gender and age of these athletes are based on their passport. Well, okay. These rules
practice wrong.
What, up here with like the British, is that, I just assumed that was like the British spelling of it.
Yeah.
It is. Okay.
Yeah.
Taylor's only here for American spelling.
They say the rules also apply during the qualification period, including the boxing tournaments of the 2023 European Games, Asian Games, Pan American Games, and Pacific Games, the ad hoc 2023 African qualifying tournament, et cetera, et cetera. We'll skip ahead. They say the PBU used the Tokyo 2022 rules as the baseline. They're going to mention that these individuals did compete 4 years ago. And I mentioned this in my previous coverage a couple days ago. They say we have seen in reports misleading information about 2 female athletes competing at the Olympic Games Paris 2024. Full stop. They're saying female, despite the fact that official gender testing from the World Championship Boxing Association is that they tested male. So confusion there. The 2 athletes have been competing in international boxing competitions for many years in the women's category, including the Olympic Games Tokyo 2020. They say International Boxing Association World Championships and IBA sanctioned tournaments. I believe that's who actually said no and stripped them of their titles. These 2 athletes were victims of a sudden and arbitrary decision by the IBA. Toward the end of the IBA World Championships in 2023, they were suddenly disqualified without any due process. According to the IBA minutes available on their website, this decision was initially taken solely by the IBA Secretary General and CEO. The IBA board only ratified it afterwards and only subsequently requested that a procedure to follow in similar cases in the future should be established and reflected in the IBA regulations. The minutes also say that the IBA should establish a clear procedure on gender testing. The current aggression against these 2 athletes is based entirely on this arbitrary decision, which was taken without any proper procedure, especially considering that these athletes had been competing in top-level competition for many years. They say such an approach is contrary to good governance. They go on to say the IOC has made it clear that it needs national boxing federations to reach a consensus around new international federation in order for boxing to be included on the sports program. Blah, blah, blah. They're there to protect human rights, et cetera, et cetera. And so now there's a big controversy, right? J.K. Rowling has chimed in. We have this Algeria FC football club says, cry more. It's a picture of Angela Carini of Italy crying. Riley Gaines, not Taylor Silverman, Riley Gaines, shout out to Taylor, 137.4 million views, 135,000 retweets on. Men don't belong in women's sports. Stand with Angela Carini. Let's get it trending. Well, I'm going to pause right there, and I'm going to try and be as offensive to literally everybody as possible. And I do not stand with Angela Carini. I do not stand with anybody who supports men fighting women. I do not stand with anybody who believes that males should be entitled to female sporting spaces. I disagree with that, and that includes even if it's coming from Carini. She said that she forfeited the match because her nose was hurting. She did not say she forfeited the match because she was up against a biological male. And in defeat, Carini said, quote, "I wish her to carry on until the end and that she can be happy. I am someone who doesn't judge anyone. I am not here to give judgments." That's just me. I'm not going to stand with feminists who think it's okay that biological males punch women in the face. That's just me. I don't know what you guys think.
This is a weird case because if it's, so the fighter in question, Khalif, is from Algeria, and Algeria doesn't change people's gender on their passport to accommodate transgenderism, which would mean presumably this person has always been classified by the government as female, which again makes me think this is an intersex case. And there had been that intersex runner from South Africa in the past, and I remember it was a big controversy because at the time the Olympics would test hormone levels, and intersex athletes who were classified as female but had high levels of testosterone had to take birth control to lower their testosterone. At the time, the runner didn't want to do it. And so it's always been this weird issue where and sometimes the transgender ideology movement includes intersex people and sometimes they don't, right? Because it depends on what they're actually feeling. But being transgender seems very different for me than being someone born with very complicated XY or XXY or whatever chromosomes.
Well, there's Caster Semenya.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That's a South African runner.
Yeah.
And again, it's very weird. If a different committee, a different sport had said your testosterone levels are too high, no matter how you were raised or whatever, how you're classified, then that seems like it's an ongoing issue. But the Olympics has changed their standards for this issue in a lot of ways, especially as it's gone from being about intersex people who have, issues with hormones and genitalia and all kinds of stuff versus someone who just in their mind has decided they are not whatever sex they are biologically born.
This is not a transgender issue at all. Not at all. And I was saying this days ago when the story first broke that the Olympics were going to allow biological males to compete against women. I stressed there is no evidence to suggest these are transgender individuals. They are literally just males. Mm-hmm. And it turns out that's likely the case. Now, the argument is they were born and presumed female, which actually is an argument for a lot of the left on the whole issue, but presents a serious problem in sports. They have male testosterone levels. They have male physical advantages. They are biologically male except for what's called DSD. I suppose that's what it's being referred to. Mm-hmm. And so it's males. And so how do we handle this? Hey, look, man, I don't know. I can certainly tell you that the one thing I really do not like about a lot of the conservatives in this regard is they continually defend progressives and feminists, and I just don't get it. Imagine if Kamala Harris got sniffed by Joe Biden and complained about it. I mean, we'd be like, it's really bad that he did that. We get it. But then she immediately came around.
He's your guy.
No, but then she immediately turned around and said, no, it's good that he's sniffing all these women. Then I'd be like, okay, well, then you got what you wanted. I mean, I don't understand. If she's defending it and she supports it, why would you defend her? Carini, people are going to make the argument that, she's forced to say these things or whatever. If a feminist says she wants to fight a guy, gets in the ring with that guy and fights him, not a single conservative would defend her. I don't understand why they're defending her now.
Well, she doesn't have a backbone, and I think that shows. I mean, she will never compete again if she comes out and says something, but look at what Riley Gaines did, and that's exactly what we need from these girls. It's she's literally saying that she hopes that this man goes on and beats the crap out of a bunch of different women and wins the gold medal, which is absolutely insane. And if you're, how hormones work, these people were born male, even if there were complications. You can't just inject testosterone and become a male, even if that was the case. But they have elevated DHT levels, elevated testosterone levels. It's going to make them literally testes. I mean, these are males, no matter the complications or anything. So now we're glorifying on the national stage of what's supposed to be the highest, held regard sports in the world, that men are literally abusing women in a ring, and they're defending it.
Who's a prominent feminist? Is there let's just say Kamala Harris. If Kamala Harris came out right now and said, "You're all bigots. This is a beautiful woman who should be allowed to compete in the Olympics," then got in the ring and said, "I'll prove it and I'll box this person," and lost, conservatives would mock Kamala all day. They'd say men shouldn't compete against women, but Kamala it's absurd. How could, she supports this, she gets what she voted for. The same thing is true for Angela Carini. But people are like, we're going to stand with her because she was crying. I'm like, but she's crying and then saying, I support this.
The other thing, too, that as far as the argument that she was forced to say something, forced by what? Her dream is already squashed. Like, say whatever you want now. It's all dead.
Well, imagine training your entire life.
Yeah.
Literally, these athletes go their entire life to train for something like this, finally get to the Olympics. Their dream is to win a gold medal, and then it's squashed by a biological man that beats the crap out of you on a national stage, and you don't have the intentionality behind you and what you believe in to come out and say, hey, this is wrong.
Yeah, and this whole thing reminds me of one year my friend for Halloween, she put on a fake black eye, and I was like, what's your costume? She goes, oh, I got mouthy.
Wow. Fair Play for Women changed their Twitter, their X banner, to a battered woman, and it says the year male violence against women became an Olympic sport. So, yeah, things are certainly getting a bit spicy, nonetheless. But this is the big question. How do you handle this? And should we expect this to continue in future Olympics? I think the answer is yes, it will continue and it'll get worse. And I don't know, even if Donald Trump wins, it doesn't change European culture in other countries.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it says a lot about the current state of society that now we have Olympic Games where biological men are literally beating the crap out of women, and women are saying, no, this is a good thing. Let him beat the crap out of more women and steal everybody's gold medals.
The thing, too, is none of this would have happened in this way. Nobody would be quite this upset about it if they hadn't been trying to force men into women's sports already. Mm-hmm. So now it's like, oh, should the standard for being able to compete in women's sports be that your chromosomes are tested? Should we be testing everybody's chromosomes, the entire U.S. Olympic
This is
team?
what I find so
Is that what we should
confusing,
be
right?
doing? Because all of these, you have like these male persons, right, with male characteristics. Colin Wright was talking about it. We talked about this before the show. He was saying that there's plenty of variation biologically and in the sexes, and this is a variation of a male person. These wouldn't even be questions if it wasn't that they were forcing men into women's sport.
I can answer this very, very easily, just across the board.
Go for it.
You can't bet on this.
You can't bet on it.
I have been trying to bet on these fights. I can't. You've got a fight coming up with Lin Yuting tomorrow. I searched BetMGM and DraftKings. Tain't there. And then you got the next fight with Khalif coming up the quarterfinals. It's not there. And I'm like, hey, man, it may only be a 3% return, but free money's free money. Mm-hmm. So the betting odds for the Iman Khalif Karini fight was if you bet $100 on Iman, you won $3.
Oh, so you'd get 103 back.
Yes.
I've never seen betting odds that are that low. On
It's
the return.
minus 3,333. I think it might be like some of the lowest. And I think right now the Lin Yuting odds are minus 250, which isn't that bad. I think you win. What does that mean? You win like $40. But so I guess what happened was when before anybody knew what was going on, the betting odds for Iman was minus 150. That means if you bet $100, you'd win $66. So $100 in, 166 comes out if Iman wins. As soon as people got word that Iman had failed a gender test and was male, it dropped way down instantly. Basically, everybody started just going after it, being like, "I'm free money, baby." So I started Google searching it. I got DraftKings, I got BetMGM. I search for them, they don't come up. Other boxing matches come up. There's Olympic boxing, men's and women's. There's by different weight categories. They have the times listed, and I can't find Khalif or Lin Yuting in these apps or on their websites. In fact, when I search the websites, it comes up on Google. You click it, gone.
Well, Khalif has lost to actual women before.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Sure.
There's no reason you shouldn't be able to bet on it.
I mean, maybe, I don't know what the issue is.
It's not like a, predetermined.
Other people have posted that as soon as they found out, because Alex Stein's making a big deal. He's like, guys, go bet on the males to win. I mean, it's a great odds. And other people have posted the bets disappeared. Like they pulled up the websites. They were there before. Now they're gone. I think the issue, I don't know exactly how the payouts work. Maybe you guys in the chat know. Do you guys know how like the betting system works? My understanding is that it's basically everybody who bets, you're basically betting against each other. So the odds change based on the amount of money in the pool, based on how the bets are going. So if like 3 people are betting on Carini, then the most you can win is whatever they put in. So it's like almost nothing, and that's what so everybody and their grandma was betting on Khalif to win, and so there's very little to actually win because nobody's betting that you win $3 if you. Some people might be thinking, hey, it's a value bet. I gotta tell you, be warned though. Think about this. Imagine you're a dude, and you're pulling a Juana Man, and you go to the Juana Man.
What's that?
It's where the basketball player gets kicked out of and it's the movie. He gets kicked out of the NBA, so then he dresses up in drag and then competes in the WNBA instead.
I gotcha. Okay.
Because he's like, I play basketball, I want a job.
First dunk ever.
Yeah. Yep. So it's a real movie. It's real. I'm not making fun of anybody. So imagine this Khalif person knows that they have testes and male testosterone and they're going to win. And so they drum up all of this controversy. Everybody runs full speed to bet as much as they can on him to win, thinking, hey, look, if I bet $100,000, I win $3,000. That's $3,000 free, right?
Sure, go for it.
And then, right before the match, Khalif goes to his buddy and says, bet against me. That $100,000. And then, and falls over. And then, boom, that $100,000, it becomes $1 million. Because Karini's odds was like 10 to 1. A $100 bet won you $1,000. Now, that's value. Some people might be trying to make those value bets. But I don't know if you guys who are watching have been able to find those bets. I'm not suggesting a $1,000 bet to make $30. Yep. I don't know.
Great ROI.
Well, some people are like, just put it in the stock market. It's less risky. Yeah. But I think the betting thing kind of spells it out for everybody. You can, when we look at prediction markets for elections and you look at polling, hey man, money talks, BS walks. So a lot of people will go to the polls and they'll be like, look at the polls. Kamala Harris is doing really, really well. And then I'm like, yeah, look at Vegas. Vegas doesn't like losing money. And it's not the companies, it's the individuals who are making the bets. We call that the wisdom of the crowd. So in this regard, when the betting odds for this person go down to 1.03 or minus 3,333, all of society is basically saying, we understand why men should not fight women.
Right.
They all know it. And they're going to profit off of it.
Yeah. Well, here we are.
Wait, Tim, are you trying to say that there is biological differences between men and women and that the large majority of society realizes this?
I was hanging out with some family friends and they had 2 kids, a boy and a girl. And then the dad was just like, I learned after having these kids that there's no question about the biological differences between boys and girls, because at some point, for some reason, the boy started smashing things and we didn't teach him to do it. And he doesn't watch the movies. He started smashing things. And then the slightly younger daughter started immediately picking up the dolls and running away to try and care for them. And they were like, no one taught them to do that. They just did it. And I thought that was absolutely hilarious. The little boy just started smashing stuff and beating the dolls. And the little girl was like, no. And she picked him up and ran away with him. Well, there you go. I don't know, man. I don't know what you guys think is going to happen. Or you don't look like big sports bettors, so I don't know if you care all that much.
I just want one of these athletes to come out and say, like, I am trans or I am intersex, right? Because I feel like that really changes the narrative here. And again, I've seen mixed reporting where it's like this person got expelled from the World Championship for boxing because of high testosterone levels, and then other ones are saying, male conditions at which they produce male markers. And so it seems like that would influence betting or just any kind of procedural situation here, right? It doesn't seem as straightforward as just like this person is trans and therefore is clearly biologically male. But
Could
maybe
you imagine growing up and being raised female and then realizing that you're a male?
You hear these horror stories where
That's like
someone
what happened to Caster Semenya. Like growing up, like thought he was female.
Otherwise presents as female.
And
has
Benjamin Button.
And it makes you start to wonder, like, what about Brittany Griner, who looks very male and has,
right. You hear these stories of like girls being like 18, being like, oh, I've never gotten my period, and goes to the doctor, and then they like discover that person has internal testes, and that never descended.
Yeah, or like some gonadal streaks is a thing where you don't even have anything really.
It's crazy.
It's very confusing. Yeah, it could be very bizarre.
Well, the Olympics and all these sports areas, they back themselves into a complete corner now of where I don't think you're ever going to be able to get rid of people that identify one way fighting in these sports against women or just full-blown males beating women. I think we've reached a point in society where this is just the new normal. And now domestic violence is basically just on display for everybody to see, and now it's celebrated too. So we've reached a very weird spot in the world of where I think this is just going to continue getting worse until there's some sort of, I'll use the terminology, great reset, or something drastic happens, or somebody dies in the ring, because that's what it's going to lead to.
We were talking last night about a girl who was paralyzed by a trans player playing volleyball.
Yeah, volleyball. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's just insane.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do think that a huge part of this is that we've pushed this so far as a culture that we've gotten to the point where we have now effectively done the thing that has been propagandized this whole time, which is we can no longer tell the difference between men and women.
Right.
We can't tell the difference. And we can't tell the difference enough to determine who should play against each other in the most celebrated sporting competitions in the world. We can't tell enough to determine who should be called mother half the time now. It's all very perplexing, and we've done this to ourselves. We have destroyed our culture. And it's funny, when I first started looking into this and seeing this all spring up, in like 2010, I first started writing about this in satirical plays. During that time, I think the first one was like, did it a little bit. But anyway, it was finished 2013 and we performed it and stuff. And everyone thought that I was crazy. I would talk to my mom and she'd be like, that's nuts. And I'd be like, we're moving to a place of erasing women, and we have successfully erased women because we can no longer define women.
And that's what Phyllis Schlafly said when she was campaigning against the Equal Rights Amendment, right? She said it's not about equality for men and women, it's about the deletion of
And Kamala Harris and Josh Shapiro and all of the rest of them, they want the Equal Rights Amendment.
So someone super chatted that's on FanDuel. And so I just downloaded it. It is minus 320 odds. That means, hey, it's not bad. $100 bet wins you $31. That's not bad.
I wonder if it's going to drop significantly by the time the fight actually happens.
Especially now with me saying it.
Yeah, everybody's going to be running to FanDuel really quick.
I am not suggesting anyone make bets on this stuff because, like I mentioned, you don't know. And it's not like there's a guarantee this person wins just because they may have, testosterone or whatever. But interesting nonetheless. Now, Iman Khalif's next opponent, Anna Lukahamori, is not scared. This is the story from the New York Post.
You should
The first Hungarian Olympic boxer faces Khalif in the quarterfinal Saturday and expresses that she has no fear. I just kind of feel like this looks like a guy. But that's just me. I'm not trying to be mean, but she didn't care. So this is another part of the issue I was bringing up very early on. No one supports men in women's sports more than the women who choose to participate in those sports.
Right.
Riley Gaines quit and has spoken out to a great degree and has continued to advocate against this. Taylor Silverman, who skates with us at the Boonies, has spoken out against this time and time again. So I respect and I support the women and men who are calling out males competing against females. But these women want to do it. Honest question, seriously. Should I tell Anna Lukahamori she should not be allowed to choose to fight against a male?
Well, it's going to reach like peak pinnacle once we get to the point of where the NFL draft, you start seeing women. That's where I feel like it's like, the pinnacle of all of this is women serving in war. And we've already started to see that in places like Ukraine. We're going to start literally sending our women off to die.
Maternity flight suits. Mm-hmm. And also, there is a female kicker, That's a thing.
Yo, Lin Yuting's odds are minus 1,450.
Wow.
Wow, that means you win like $6 for a $100 bet.
There is a campaign that was just launched, a fund from Jennifer Say, who did XXXY Athletics. And it's a fund to support women athletes who are speaking out against men in their sports so that there's not the... this is like what you did with Taylor, It's like so that it's not a monetary penalty that you get.
I got to stress it again, man. You can fool some of the people some of the time. You can fool all the people some of the time, but you can't fool all the people all the time. And when you look at betting odds, you could do Taylor. You could do a man on the street and go to New York, and I guarantee you're getting a bunch of these progressives in Times Square being like, "Yeah, I think it's great. I think it's fine." Then you say, "Okay, want to make a bet?" Mm-hmm. Make a bet. That's a video for you. You should do that. Be like, put down $100 right now on the woman to beat the man. Do it. They're gonna be like, no way. I don't want to give away money. Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.